Let's not kid ourselves or sugarcoat what's going on here.
Last week, angry parents at John Stanford International School in Seattle's Wallingford neighborhood
You are also putting at risk the community and our students and our children.
unloaded on King County Regional Homelessness Authority CEO Marc Dones,
What are we waiting for? It's time to take action.
accusing him and other state agencies of failing to remove the notorious ship canal encampment on WSDOT property.
A hotbed of drugs, stolen property, and violence.
During this virtual meeting, Dones acknowledged the dire situation.
I don't think anyone is happy with where we are as a community.
But when asked why it's taking so long to clear encampments along state highways in the region, this is what he had to say.
The budget proviso is very specific, that you have to be able to offer someone housing.
And Dones took it even a step further.
Without access to a permanent housing solution or something similar, that it really does limit the engagement that the team can take.
In other words, he's saying only motels, tiny houses, or apartments are acceptable, and outreach workers rarely, if ever, refer any homeless people into what's commonly called congregate shelters, those shared spaces with bunk beds or cots.
This proposition he's bringing up is news to me.
Democratic State Representative Jake Fye is chair of the House Transportation Committee and supported this nearly $50 million right-of-way bill that's funding KCRHA.
My perspective was it didn't have to be permanent. You just couldn't ask somebody to leave without a place to go. Shelter would be a place to go.
I'm glad you asked the question.
Republican State Representative Andrew Barcus is on the same committee.
What is Marc Dones talking about?
I'm not sure.
I sat down with him in his Olympia office to go over the exact language in this bill.
I haven't put big point. It doesn't say that they were given permanent supportive housing.
And nowhere does it say permanent housing
But I can't see how this is tying anybody's hands.
is required before moving homeless people off WSDOT property.
We need to utilize every bit of resources we can to have shelters. It doesn't matter what kind. We need to get the people out of these deplorable situations.
Since the right-of-way initiative was announced last year, only 7 homeless encampments have been cleared, and hundreds are still scattered across the state with no end in sight. In King County, where KCRHA deploys its resources, only 4 encampments have been removed so far. I reached out and asked Dones if he planned to correct course, but got no response. Instead, a KCRHA spokesperson sent me a statement that reads in part, "We're keeping our focus on the primary goal of moving people inside." While the agency says more than 200 homeless people who used to live on state right-of-ways are now in some form of housing, critics say that number should have been even higher if Dones actually carried out the intent of this bill and also used available shelters.
I am pleased to say we are making solid progress on this effort.
Governor Jay Inslee's office tried to defend Dones and says KCRHA's work is consistent with the spirit of what legislators wanted. But a spokesperson also admits emergency congregate shelters are always an option for encampment residents as well.
Don't let perfection be the enemy of good here.
The question now, who's supposed to hold Dones accountable?
Inaction is unacceptable in our administration.
For now, KCRHA's governing board, made up of elected officials like Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell and King County Executive Dow Constantine, could potentially do that. But so far, no one's talking about next steps. What is evident, the current approach is not working for neighbors, parents, business owners, and especially the homeless, who remain vulnerable on the streets.
While we wait, people are slowly dying under a bridge, and our children, families, and school staff are being subjected to this public safety hazard.